Hey, Jeff Emig here, and of course I'm an old dog at 53. I mean, I've been riding motorcycles since they had conventional forks, carburetors, points in the ignition, no linkage, and twin shocks. But now, 2024, I'm gonna get the chance to ride the Stark Varg for the very first time. It's so f***ing fast. It just goes, So we're out here at Paris Raceway in Southern California. I'm gonna test out the Stark Varg. Luke from Factory MX Vacation is gonna tell me all about the computer system in this and how it works, and I'm gonna give you my honest opinion. All right. Hey Luke, you gotta show me how this thing works. I mean, how do I make it go?
Right.
I'm turning the throttle, nothing's happening.
These are pretty state-of-the-art. So obviously when you buy the Stark Varg, you get this phone with it, right? So a lot of
phone, can I
yes.
call my girlfriend?
Dude, you can take this out, you can run with it, whatever, you can call anyone. This is fully active, so.
No texting and riding though, kids.
Correct, but this just clips in here nicely. So you get the bike, you turn the power on, okay?
So this button here turns it on.
Turns it on. Now, we've got the bike on.
So this is like the home page or whatever.
You have all of your options here. So you have your stats, your modes, you can see different trails, and then of course you can order your parts right from this phone.
How many modes does it have?
The modes is the fun one. So you have 5 different modes, and you can make different maps within those modes.
So you can build your own maps,
Exactly.
and then have different modes with that.
Exactly, so then now when you're on the fly with these 2 buttons here, you can go up and down, and you can change it to whichever you choose, right? So
I'm in the power mode, so if I go from here, I go to modes.
Yep.
So right now, this is mode 1.
Yep.
So the things that you can adjust are the horsepower output and the regenerative braking, which would be, put it into regular motocross terms, would be like engine braking that a four-stroke has.
Yeah, exactly. So while you're riding, the higher the regenerative braking, the more charging you're gonna do, or the least amount of battery usage you're gonna have.
So I want to start this out in
Yep.
what the settings that Stark recommends for this.
Yep. So all of these maps, mode 1, 2, 5, these are all of the stock maps.
Okay.
So now let's say you want to do a change, you just scroll these and
Okay.
then you click that save button
And then
it'll
it saves it. But
it'll
this
link
is
it.
all stock as it comes.
Yep.
So now if I want to make it go, I see this light's blinking, so
Yep.
something's on.
Yep, so now click the bottom button just once. Now you're into first gear. Or map
Mode
1.
one,
Yep.
because there is no
There is
shifter.
no gears, yes.
There's no clutch.
Correct. So
Okay.
now you're in gear, and so now if you were to crack the throttle, you would move forward.
All right.
There we go.
All right.
So you just click
Is there
that.
a neutral?
So now if you hold this power button for a sec, now you're back into neutral. So now you can whack the throttle and it's off.
Okay, well, that all sounds good. I think I know how to make this thing go. I'm sure once you ride it once, you kind of get the feel of everything. But initially, my initial thoughts are, I mean, it feels pretty narrow, but you know, it doesn't feel different than any modern motocross bike, other than that it doesn't have a clutch, which I'm kind of used to sort of grabbing the clutch, and it will be kind of odd to not have a shift lever. So
Absolutely.
My initial thoughts are that that's going to be a point of difference that you really have to get used to. All right, here we go. First ride. See if I remember even how to turn it on. I feel like I want to start it up. So now to put it in gear, that's it. Well, not in gear. Just turn on mode 1. Here we go. All right, here we go. Whew. That's different.
What'd you think?
First impression is it's a totally different feeling. Like all of the instinctual sort of feedback on the rider machine interface, all those things that for 50 years you're used to feeling. Like there were multiple times that I reach for the clutch and there's no clutch there. And it's a completely different feeling, but it's pretty interesting because I think this is set at 44 horsepower. And when you get into the meat of the power, I mean, it goes, it's fast, but it just doesn't feel like a traditional motocross bike to me. That's sort of my first instincts. So obviously if you watch the video of my first laps on it, I'm being extremely cautious. And there's a few things that the bike does different that you really have to get comfortable just knowing initially what the bike's going to do when you shut the throttle off, or in the air, if you chop the throttle, it wants to nosedive. If you hit the throttle in the air, you can physically feel the bike move just from the rotation and the inertia of the power to the back wheel. So there's a lot of things that I feel like straight away, like, whoa, you would have to only ride this and get used to every bit of feedback that this machine gives you, because it's so drastically different than a conventional motocross bike. So as far as the feeling on the track, like I mentioned, it's something that you have to get used to. The ergonomics of the bike and all that feel pretty natural. It's interesting that how you're so used to listening to the sound of your internal combustion engine and using the clutch and regulating the RPMs. That's such a major part of riding a conventional motocross bike. And on this, I feel like a complete beginner. I go into a turn with a rut and it's really quiet, like there's no sound. And I'm like, what am I doing wrong? I feel like a total novice right now. And once again, that's just kind of one of those things that with the Stark here, I feel like you would really have to get used to that. So in that way, it's just drastically different and something that would really have to put some time on to feel super comfortable. All right, so that was my initial ride. I'm gonna take a little break right now. I think Luke wants to plug this thing into a charger, so we'll show you guys what that situation looks like so that if you're out at the track, you have more than just a couple rides in the battery. Okay.
So we can go to our stats and we can do your last ride was 18 minutes.
Okay.
So we can click on this ride. You can see your circulation there.
Oh, so it's the whole track map.
You can see now you used 39% of your battery.
Okay. So it's set on 44 horsepower.
For mode 1, yes.
Dude, I'm telling you, it's like you roll the throttle on, and then once it sort of gets into the power, the 44 seems like more than that. That's like, more than a 125, sort of in between a 125 and a 250 two-stroke power.
Yep.
A little less than a 250 two-stroke, but when it gets in it, man, it goes. Like it hooks up and goes.
So is 80 horsepower next? Just go out and try it?
I don't think I'm not. No. So we went 44?
Yep.
No way I'm going to 80 right now.
That?
No, because I'm still hesitant. Like I haven't even jumped the big jump in the back because I'm still like,
feeling it out.
Yeah.
Yep.
I'll split the difference. So you want to go to 60?
Yeah, try 60 next time you go out.
All right, let's try 60.
And I think, something good to talk about here is the fact that what are we at for battery right now, right? So you did 18 minutes and you're down now to 53% battery life left. So you could go out there and probably do another 18 to 20 minutes. But when you get under the 20-minute mark, that's when the bike starts to go into like battery reserve mode. So it'll limit the power output. So even though you may have it on a 60 horsepower setting, it still is gonna cut back when it feels like it's using too much to save it so you can get back and charge it. That little green icon will go red, right? So you're now in reserve mode and it's gonna be like, hey, time to go back and charge.
So I know this doesn't have anything to do with the performance of it, but is there any way to make the font bigger? My old ass eyes, I can't see it. Can I lighten it up some? You don't know if it's in it?
I'm not sure if we can do that there.
So, yeah, definitely faster. And I felt like when you get in the throttle and then it hooks up was like, whoa, that's a little bit, like you got to get used to it, right? And that little triple thing in the middle, I finally felt confident to do that. But the big jump across the hill, I come up to it and I still haven't really jumped it properly. It's because I'm almost, like I'm fearful that if I stay in it, I'm gonna go too far.
Right, of course, yeah.
Like having that feedback from the motorcycle, I don't have enough time on it to feel comfortable with where the throttle's at. And also, what's different about this bike from a conventional bike is the throttle position is really sensitive.
Yes.
So like, you know, you're coming out of a turn and you hit some bumps, it's like yeet, 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 yeet.
Way more reactive.
Where you don't necessarily on a traditional bike, like it's like softer.
Yep.
Where that's not, and you can use the clutch.
Yes.
You can pull in the clutch, and so for this, having proper throttle control and even being conscious of like where your elbow's at, things like that, it's really something that you'd have to get used to, because I think it's more critical on this than a conventional bike. Also, the last lap I felt the power go down. So where am I at as far as?
So yeah, you're now, see how that's red? You're now at 17%. So that's when it's gonna start to limit the output. So that was 15 minutes, and your one this morning was 18 minutes.
So at 18 and 15, and now we're already into battery conservation mode. I mean, let's say that I had the power up even a little bit, let's say I went to 60 or whatever, and I want to do a 30+2.
It's not gonna make it.
It's not gonna make it.
It's gonna struggle to make it a good 30 minutes.
And so like, let's just say you were in a sand or a mud situation,
yep,
it's gonna be less. And if you were gonna race this like traditionally, and your races were almost back to back, I mean, you'd be on a battery charger right now just to be able to try to make your next race.
But then talking to another Stark owner here today, he said, hey, you get back, if you're all the way dead, he said in about 45 minutes with the correct generator, you can be charged back up. So that's what we're gonna go do now. Throw it on the generator, and then you can conclude and do another moto. Is this how we do it? All right, thank you. All right, I appreciate it. So this is pretty cool. The stand plugs into the generator or your wall at home, and then it has the lead cable to hook up to the bike. So when you buy one of the Starks, it comes with the stand, everything you need, and then plug it in. So like that, we're already up to 21% now. We started at 17, we've been here for a minute. So I say, yeah, get some lunch, then your bike recharges. I think if you plan accordingly, it can work within your riding if you're able to take your breaks, put it on a charger. But then again, this is loud. This is kind of, you don't want to sit here, right? So we're gonna go away, let it charge, and come back.
We're still burning gas.
We're still burning gas. Oh, check this out. It says warning. Come video this. All right, so we're saving the 80 horsepower.
Let me get in there.
Okay, so all you do, you just click save.
You can't see the screen.
Okay. Warning, alpha power engaged. This is a ridiculous level of power. We do not recommend it.
Beer?
I'm gonna,
nah.
Got it.
I'm not drinking right now. I quit drinking for a little bit. I'm in training.
That makes mic'd up still. So.
My last drink was February. All right, Luke, what are we doing?
All right, man. We've got this thing charged up a bit. And you're gonna try.
What's battery at?
We're at 52%, and you're on the 80 horsepower.
80.
80. So be ready.
So that's almost double what I rode it first time.
Yep. Yep. So
all right, so I'll take it easy. I'll check it out.
Yep.
Oh! Whoa! Oh.
We gotta change the mode. It's so fast.
Too fast.
It's like where it's tacky, it just goes like it's scary. Like it is like, yeah, that's not. And especially because I mentioned before how the throttle position is so sensitive. So like you hit some bumps and stuff, and you're kind of moving the throttle like that, and your elbow's moving around. It just goes whoop whoop. Yeah, we gotta change it up.
So you just on this?
Yeah, so what I'm gonna do, go back to mode 3, which was like 52. I really want to try to do a start, so I'm gonna go over here next to the start where it's a little bit tacky, and just feel what it's like in sort of a race start situation and see what it's like off the line. So I wanted to see what a start feels like. Obviously we don't have a whole shot device on this. I assume you'd want to have one on this, just the same as your regular bike, but right now I'm set at the 52 horsepower, so mode 3. Want to see what it's like. I'm going to try the metal starting grate later too, but just to see what it's like. And it's so different right now because like you're not revving the engine or warming it up or checking the clutch. It's just sitting here static, and it's like, okay, let's go. And then the gate change it, or you think change it? I mean, it just hooks up and goes, you know, it's crazy. All right. We didn't use metal starting pads in my day, but we'll see what this is like. I mean, that's such a different feeling, you know, just like anything with your own motorcycle, you know, conventional one, you really have to get dialed in to where your RPMs are right, the clutch is right, all that sort of stuff are so important. And on this, so many of those elements are just not there, and it's literally just your body positioning and the throttle. I still felt like I wanted to kind of put a little bit of tension on it, like I might actually like hold the front brake just a tad bit instead of it just being off. I feel like I wanted to have a little bit of movement like that if I was to do a start. Hey, I think we should put it in 80. We should put it in 80, huh? All right, let's see what, there's 4, there's 5. Mode 5, all right, let's go. All right, we'll do a dirt start on this here. Let's just see what this thing would be like. Dude, you can't even. Dude, it just spins the tire like right away. Yeah, 80 definitely would be too much. I mean, yeah, that's just incredible horsepower that it has. And it's really cool that it's adjustable, and maybe even having the ability to adjust it for whatever riding conditions. Like if the track was really hard packed and slippery, I mean, you couldn't ride it with this 80 horsepower mode, would not be good, and you could dial it back. Or on a conventional bike, once you get to the track, I mean, it pretty much is what it is, unless you're changing some mappings or, you know, changing some hard parts. Just so much adjustability here with just a touch of the screen is pretty interesting. All right, so first impressions after it's all said and done here. Rode another probably 20 minutes, did those starts and tried the different horsepowers and all that. The thing that stands out about it the most is just the power, the raw power. Once you turn the throttle and it hooks up and it goes. If it was your gasoline powered bike, you'd be really stoked with that. So I was really conservative with my riding today, really cautious, because it does feel really foreign. And my thoughts are that if this was gonna be your bike of choice, that you would have to be committed to that. Get this is your bike, because of how instinctual riding motocross becomes. I would think that it'd be really difficult to switch back and forth between, a conventional bike and this. But that being said, if you got used to this bike, I think it'd be amazing. The ergonomics of the machine, pretty standard, right? It didn't feel foreign in that way. The brakes and everything work, just like you should, but there's gotta be, not having all the rotational mass in an internal combustion engine, I think makes it feel quite a bit different. And even though I didn't ride the thing at 100%, like going into braking bumps and stuff, it felt different. And once again, that's just something that more time on it, you would have to get used to. We also have to talk about the element of this being an electric bike and having a battery, right? We started with about 92% battery. I rode 18 minutes, and not even like full bore, fairly hard track, right? Not real loamy or muddy. So I rode 18 minutes, I rode 15 minutes, and then it was time to charge the battery again. Really was a bit of a negative, and then I had to wait for the charger to go, and I only got a little over 50%. So then I could ride another, I think I probably rode about 15, 20 minutes. And so with that element, I feel like that's a real negative to it, that if I wanted to come out and ride 3 or 4 motos on a race day, I mean, I don't know how you can pull that off. I don't know if the charging aspects of it keep up with the amount of riding that you would do. And so for that element, I think that it has its place, but just by that category right there, you can't compare it to a conventional motocross bike that you're putting gas in. You can go ride a tank of gas, come in, as fast as you can put gas in it, you can go right back out and do another tank of gas. So that being said, I think that the Stark has potential. It's got its place. Is it the equivalent? Is it a replacement for a traditional motocross bike? I don't think so, at least not because of that one reason alone. Should electric bikes be allowed to ride with the conventional motocross bike? I came into today
with a certain mindset, or like a really strong opinion on that. After talking with Sebastian Tortelli, understanding what Stark's intention, where their focus is, what they want, I was told that they want to integrate this bike with the conventional classes. And I gotta say, I don't agree. And I know that people at Stark might not like that opinion that I have, and some owners or some people might think, you know, if it's an open class, fine, it's an open class, anything. But I feel like it's drastically different in that way, and I wouldn't want to, like on the professional level, I'm not sure that I would want to have to compete with it. My opinion would be that I would really love to see, starting with professional racing and then trickling down into amateur racing, maybe it's going to go the opposite way, but I think the electric bikes should have their own classification, their own category, their own class, if you will, and that mixing the two is a little bit like mixing fire and ice. But that's just my opinion, and I think that after riding the machine, is that it only strengthens that opinion. But like I said, if it was clearly stated this is an open class, then great. I don't know. Me personally, I wouldn't want to see on the professional level the two bikes race against each other, but that's just my opinion. So you guys have got a lot of my opinions. It's just one man's opinions, riding the bike, where I think it's at, some of the governing and racing of it. But that being said, is the performance of the Stark Varg is pretty incredible, and I think the company has done a great job developing some new technology that when you think about where are the new places that individuals can ride motocross bikes, that maybe even build motocross tracks, knowing that sound pollution is an issue that we've dealt with. The Stark Varg has its place in the motocross community, and it could open up different areas of riding, different areas of racing, and allow people to ride motocross in places that they previously couldn't. And so for that, I think that it's a good thing, and I think that it's a good thing that we have the Stark Varg on the market.